Cheers.
What's up, guys? Happy Friday. I wanted to do a surprise interview for you guys. I was hanging out with Tony Tovar. He's was running a seven-figure digital agency, digital marketing agency. Now it's six figures. We'll get into why that's the case in a second. He is one lazy mofo, but still kills it. We'll get into that. He's been featured on Inc. magazine, Entrepreneur, Business.com, Fast Companies, so many different things. He's done so many things, and he's still a lazy panda. But let's just get into it. I'll let you introduce yourself, Tony, and tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, hey man, that's a pretty good intro actually. So I've been mentioned on a couple different websites like the ones that you mentioned, and I think another notable thing is if anyone who's out there knows Noah Kagan from OKDork or from Sumo.com or AppSumo.com, I was working on their Facebook ads for a while and was made an honorary an honorary Sumo. So I'm not just a panda, I'm a sumo. Yeah. So just to give you a little bit of a backstory to the six-figure, seven-figure thing. I was making, we had reached seven figures, but I make more now as a six-figure agency than I did when I was a seven-figure agency, mainly because of all the stuff that we were spending money on, including employees, where now we're completely outsourced, and which is probably the thing that everyone is looking to do.
Yeah.
Um, and we're making way more. We've essentially, to be quite honest with you, we've essentially become a customer service company and a lot less of a digital marketing company, if that makes sense.
Yeah, what
Um,
do you mean by that?
so I was telling Jeremy yesterday, I was telling you as well that
What's up,
we,
Jeremy?
so we got to we got to the point where we didn't want to take care of the actual service. We were kind of like, and I say we, me and my wife. I was just like, man, I was too busy. I was getting too bogged down with a bunch of stuff, and like turning off fires and trying to make stuff happen. And so, long story short, I decided that I was going to look for partners to try and like white label doing a lot of the stuff that we did as a digital agency. And one of the biggest things that was taking up a lot, like almost literally almost half of our team was a pay-per-click advertising team. And so we were like, how can I get to the point where I can outsource that completely, while not like degrading the amount of like service that we were providing to our customer. And so I thought to myself, well, shit, maybe I could white label this. Sorry, I don't know if cursing is allowed,
Yeah, no, cursing's cool.
but
Curse all the time.
um, and so like I was telling Jeremy, I was like, we got to the point where I just decided I was going to completely let go of that part of the company, and we were just now looking for who was going to do the work. All right, and so I thought to myself, well, maybe we could outsource this to like a boutique shop or something. And sure enough, we like found a ton of companies that do pay-per-click advertising for really inexpensive, pardon me, and they're Fortune 500 companies, right? So it's like, I wonder if I could partner up with one of those guys and then see what it is that a white label service looks like, right?
Mhm.
So sure enough, I did that. I talked with a company, and as I was talking to Jeremy too, and I was one of the first people to have asked them to do like a white label service. And so they had got all of their attorneys together and they started, writing up contracts to allow me to be their first sort of white label affiliate. Yeah. And so we tested it with one client, then we tested their services with two clients. And before we knew it, we were like, jackpot. This is exactly what we need. With our expertise, what our team and what I knew about pay-per-click advertising, we knew how to speak to the pay-per-click advertising company. And because we set up the client with all this stuff, we knew how to speak to them as well. And I was telling Jeremy, really, we've become a customer service company versus a digital marketing company, and all we do is focus on providing therapy to our customers. Like like client therapy. I coined that term. Client therapy is my like that's my word.
Uh,
And that's what we focus on now is like how do we provide client therapy so that they continue to be part of our ecosystem for a lot longer than most agencies have held customers. So it's just a matter of like continually communicating. Sorry, man. I don't know if that answered the question, but I took a
Yeah,
little
no,
bit.
no, no. That was great. And I see we have six people on the live here. Give Tony a thumbs up and a heart for drinking a hard root beer or a beer on the line.
Yeah,
I guess that's cool on Friday. Yeah, if you guys have any questions on the live, how to outsource your agency, give us comment down below. I think Tony is going into a new room. What's up, Mickey?
I'm literally going to like let's see, well, maybe not here because my family just got here, so I'm gonna be talking to you guys from my restroom.
Cool. So, hey, are you on the toilet right now?
No.
So a lot of people in the six-figure digital marketer are just starting out. They're running their own digital marketing agencies and kind of want to learn a little bit more of how to start either white labeling their services or start outsourcing their services. So
Yeah.
where would you suggest people start?
So the way that we started, and can you hear me okay, Andrew?
Yep, you're
Okay.
good.
Like the place that I would suggest anyone get started at is by trying to first off like write out their like the entire process they go through. Because when you understand every nuance of everything that's going on for a particular service that you offer, when you first start out, like you might just like be doing things kind of on a whim, trying to figure it out. But try doing yourself a favor and focus on trying to write out the instructions of what it is that you're doing. So for instance, when I was doing pay-per-click advertising and we were doing retargeting, I was like, okay, what's the first step? What's the gauntlet list, right? What is the exact list that I have to go through in order to create the retargeting banners? For instance, when we first got started, what we were pushing a lot was the retargeting services through AdWords. And so AdWords takes 14 different advertising banners that you have to create in order to test to see which one of those is the best, producer of traffic to your website. So I would say like the most immediate thing that you need to do before you even consider outsourcing, seriously guys, like just write down exactly what you're doing. Like what is the checklist? Because the bigger the checklist, the more detailed the system, the less human error occurs in the future, right? And the less human error, the less you have to worry about it being a very smart human to perform the task, right? And so when you've narrowed it down to something that's very specific, you can hire almost anybody. It doesn't have to be super smart to set up, to run through the process, right? You may only need someone who is maybe a little gifted analytically when you get to a point where they're having to actually change bids or look at bidding strategies, stuff like that. And even then, you can set up systems for how to do it correctly, how to minimize like whatever metrics it is that are important to you. For our customers, has always been conversions. So whether that's a form fill, whether that's a chat and engagement through like an official chat on your website, not chat bots, but just a chat, or if it was someone calling you on the phone, right? So for us, it was always important to just know the process. And then when we talked to someone who could take that over completely, we were like, this is our process. How does your process compare to my process? Right. And so it was easier for us to be like, well, that's a little different. But, for me, I was a little scared when I first, it's funny. I was telling Jeremy this. If I could start all over again, I may completely avoid going through the process of doing it myself and just pay someone else to do the work while I continue to do client therapy. Now, the only reason that may not be completely awesome is because it really helps when you know the details of the service. Like,
Yep.
I know what it means to do Facebook advertising. I know what it takes to do AdWords advertising. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like when you know the intricacies of it, you can then be the person that's in the middle between your customer and the provider and the white label provider. So you start off by knowing your systems. By creating your standard of operations procedure, and then you move forward to then passing that on to someone else. If you want to skip that step and you've gotten really good at what you're doing, but it's taking too much of your time, find someone that you can completely white label the service to, test them out on a client or two, and then when they've done really good work, go ahead and roll it out.
Awesome. So when somebody's coming up with their standard operating procedures, and give us a thumbs up or a heart for Tony drinking his beer on the toilet right now. But if somebody's writing out their standard operating procedure for the first time, where should they go? Should they go to Google to find a template? I know a lot of people are probably wondering how they should structure that so they can just use that document and pass it off to people that are going to
Right.
take it over.
You know what? It's interesting that you say that because I think recently there's been like a software that helps you create those.
Mm-hmm.
Did you by any chance? I think it might have been in one of your interviews where one guy mentioned having like a standard of procedures app or something like that. Like you could literally go and go and create your standard of
Oh,
procedures.
I don't know, but that's insane.
I'll have to go look for it because I think it literally helps you. It'll like record your what you're doing on your computer as you're doing something and try to
Mm-hmm.
come up with like concise system of what you just did. And so it's like I think it does that. But to be honest, man, for me it was like straight up with all my when I had employees, we did this with my employees. Now that we have contractors and partners, I do it now with my contractors primarily. But we're in a document, a Google document, and no one is ever like we have a gauntlet list, right? We have a list of all the procedures for a specific task, and then we're constantly changing. So if there's ever a problem, it's never like you should never blame a human. You should blame your system.
Mm-hmm.
And when your system's the one that's fucking up, you got you know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to worry about like being pissed off at a person. You're just like, how do we make sure this doesn't happen again? Right? And
Like,
then if the person continues to screw up, you can let go of them because they're not good at following instructions.
yeah.
So that's what that's where I would recommend. Just start up with like a Google Doc. And like again, I might even go ahead and look for that software I was telling you guys about
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
because I know someone was telling me that it's made their life super easy. We've had them for a while. We've had some of our systems um, kind of on paper for a while. Like for instance, right now we have a training manual for SEO, right? And although it's not like super super step by step, it's really really damn close because some of it is just like we can't systematize it. We have like literally it depends on how the human works and how effectively they can produce certain things on their own in order for this to work right. If it doesn't, you're not really cut out for it. So we have like an entire SEO, like how to build links, how to rank your website number one on Google, all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff, like all in a document that we've put together. That's like, I don't know, I think it's like 7,000 words. We just built it over time, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, if you want to outsource your stuff and you want to start making it a standard operating procedure, I mean, you just got to start. It sounds like it probably didn't start out with a 7,000 word document. It started
Yeah.
shorter and
Yeah, it was a lot shorter. It was a lot shorter. It's almost as like grueling as creating a course. Because in a course you're helping someone do something step by step and hopefully they see results, right?
Mhm.
So that's pretty much what you're doing when you're creating a standard of procedure. You're just trying to get someone who isn't you to actually accomplish what you've already done.
Yeah.
And so an entire video series could be your standard of procedure. It doesn't have to be a document. In
Oh.
some cases, yeah, and it helps because then you can walk people through what you're doing systematically and use that as training because then you can talk them through what you're doing in your standard of procedure or what you're doing in your system. You can walk them through the process of what you've done, and then they see it. They see it in front of them as you're talking to them. So you become the facilitator of your own system, right? Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah. And then that saves you so much time down the
Yeah,
line.
yeah, but and I know to some of you guys, you might be listening to this and being like, "Fuck, I don't want to do this. Like, this just sounds like ridiculous." Honestly, it's one of the reasons why I would say do the work yourself. Do the work yourself, and then instead of hiring like contractors, bump up to white label. Like, just go straight to white label and try to find someone who has processes and systems and effectiveness in place to make this happen. Like, otherwise you're gonna have to go through standard of procedures. Trust me, it was the most grueling thing. I'm lazy, dude. You know this. Like I have low energy, high urgency in all of like the aptitude tests that I've ever taken. And I didn't want to do that crap. In fact, like for the majority of it, like I maybe wrote down 10 things that were a step-by-step process, 10 things when I first started, and I had someone else like fill in the blanks because I was like, I don't want to do this. Like I don't want to sit in front of a computer and like fill out a document. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
It's
Um,
boring. It's boring.
Yo, Enrique is saying goals, hashtag goals to you. Heck yeah. I think that's just you being on the toilet and drinking a beer, not you owning your agency that's made seven figures. Not sure which one. But what's up, Emil? Jeremy, my dude, what is up?
And just so
Yeah,
you know, just so you guys know, for a goal, like for my agency, like my goal now is to do something completely different, right? Like I was telling you and some of my other kind of inner circle friends, I'm at a point where I've replaced myself. And now I want to do something completely different. And I want to start transforming people's lives because when you're in the lead generation game, the end result, the tangible thing, the thing that my kids are going to see as they grow up is just a dad that's on a computer,
hmm
right? I don't want that, dude. I want them to see people's lives like just transformed, or I want someone to be able to say like after a coaching call or after a consultation, like you're a lucky young man to have a daddy like yours because he's helped us
that's
build our
awesome.
business. And like I realized that when I had one of my clients, and I was telling Jeremy about this, he called us up. In fact, I could even Oh man, I don't have my phone with me. I was gonna play the exact voicemail that he wrote me, and he's just like, Tony, I just want you to know that whatever you're doing is working. We absolutely, like he said, we have had the best month we've ever had in my career. And he's a 30, like a twin, over 30 years of criminal defense services or attorney.
Yeah.
And to me, that was just like, oh man, that hit home. Like that's amazing. I rarely get an opportunity to hear my customers say those things to me, right?
Mhm.
We're just so focused on them, and then I realized too, I was just like, man, you know what? I've got to do something slightly different. So, in case you were asking what my goals are, man, my goal is just
Yeah.
to empower other people to do the same thing or do something similar, or just follow me in my journey as I do something else. Because right now, I don't really want to do service anymore.
Yeah. That's
Client therapy is fun.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, and I wanted to ask you about this. What are you planning on doing next? What are you getting into? What are the new
Yeah.
ventures?
So I've always had like mentors in the digital marketing space. Some of you guys might have heard of Ryan Dice, who is the owner of Digital Marketer. I've had a good mentor of mine, and we just went to a football game not too long ago, Noah Kagan, who is the guy who started sumo.com. I've been very blessed to know some people, like to just network with them and make close friends out of them. And part of me, I realized like, dude, these guys they've taken two paths. They've either created software or they've created information products. And I'm not like looking at them thinking, oh, the grass must be greener on the other side because I got it real good, you know? But 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 they've gotten to the point where they have something they can leave behind to their kids. That's the thing that I was just like, dang, like what's a framework? What's a piece of information? What is it that I can help the world with to make a better change? And so I'm focused right now on trying to help entrepreneurs, people who want to either publish something online or create something online to build an audience, to sell it, talk about marketing, talk about funnels, talk about traffic. All marketing is online, for those of you who don't know this already, is two things: traffic, and the traffic you can either build it organically, but or you could go to the store and buy it. Like that's how simple it is, right? Like I'm not gonna go down the road to some big old farm and create a rice field and then have rice grow. I don't even know how that shit works, but have rice grow and then somehow harvest it and then use it to eat it, right? Like, no, I'm going to go straight to the store that sells rice and I'm going to buy it, right? So it's as easy as buying traffic. And then the other part of that is the offer. Like if your offer sucks, the traffic isn't going to convert, right? So for me, I've always understood it's simple. There's no trick to it. There's no hidden secret bullet to traffic. It's literally traffic plus offer, right? That equals marketing and advertising. So for me, I want to try to help people understand how that simplification can take their business to the next level. And so For me, I'm not too certain exactly what it is yet. We have two courses I'm working on right now. One is to try to get people to $10,000 a month in recurring revenue, which is the 10K freelancer course. And then the other one is a Facebook course where we just talk specifically about how to use Facebook very methodically. So thinking about, for instance, like the psychological triggers when you're creating ads versus just trying to come up with an offer. Everyone and their mother is using Facebook like advertising now. You've got to be way smarter on when you're creating ads, period. And you got to think about the psychological objective, not just the objective that Facebook gives you when you first start an ad. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, I'm working on trying to figure that out right now. 2018 is poised to be a really good year to start a new business for me. I'd love to get it to six figures. I'd love to get it to seven, but definitely six is the first step. And I mean, five figures is the first step for me.
Yeah.
Once I get there, I know I can take it to the next level. So
Awesome. I know you can. I kind of want to take it back a step because you were talking about
sure.
traffic, and I was actually going to go live on my personal page and talk about the three different types of traffic, being traffic that you own, traffic that you pay for, and traffic that you don't own, and how you're trying to move traffic that you don't own and traffic that you pay for into traffic that you own.
Yeah.
So I'd love to just let you go on a little bit of more of a rant on how to acquire traffic and convert it into traffic that you own.
Yeah, so that's the what is it? The Holy Grail, right? Of everyone who's doing online marketing or advertising is like, how do I convert cold traffic into like a raving fan, right? Like, how do I do that? And it all starts literally, guys, like this is forget everything I just said. Listen to this right quick. Okay, in a relationship, when you first start off, like the first thing you do when you see a girl over across the bar is go up to her and say, "Hey, I know, like I read this Gallup study that said 80% of women want to get married. Do you want to just go ahead and skip that part and get to the sex and go home with me?" Like, you're not going to do that. She's going to slap your face, right? Like, you don't approach a girl and tell her that, like, "Hey, I know 80% of women want to have babies at one point. You want to go ahead and try?" Like, you don't do that, right? So just like we know that there's a process for like courting, we know there's a process in advertising and in traffic, in trying to get traffic become traffic you control, right? And so, I mean, even talking with you guys, the idea of providing value first is really pivotal. There was a Gallup, and this is true. There was a Gallup study done where they were specifically trying to answer the question, why do some relationships last long and why do some relationships fall short? Like, why do they, like, some relationships don't last, right? What's the characteristic that really makes them different? And what they found out is that and because of the study, we now have this thing called the 12 steps of intimacy. If you Google 12 steps of intimacy, it'll literally walk you through the process that biologically and psychologically we go through before we go all the way to intercourse with our mate, right? And the first one is eye to body. We're not even looking at our eyes yet. We're looking at our body, right? Or the woman's kind of looking to see if this guy even sizes up. We know whether or not we like somebody or would even mate with them within the first like 5 seconds. That goes for women and that goes for men alike. Like, it's just how we are. We're like human beings. We're animals, right? And so the next step is like eye to eye, and then hey, we both caught each other's eye. Like, hey, maybe she likes me. And then it's hand to hand, and it's hand to waist, and hand to genitals, and hand to head, and head, and then before you know it, it's intercourse, right? So though you can read up on the 12 steps of intimacy, but just like that is true, so it is true for the advertising market. You've got to make sure you're dating them, like. You don't just go off and say, "Hey, would you like to get married and get your face slapped?" What you do is you go say, "Hey, can I buy you a cup of coffee? Can we go out? Can we do," like, just to make sure and see if the first steps before even talking to her were good enough. Does she like the way that you look? Does she consider you someone she'd mate with? Like, psychologically speaking, before you even got to that point, right? And there are ways that you can make it so that the likelihood of her saying yes is higher. There's obviously like the alpha male, right? Like if you think about psychologically and biologically, the alpha male has a greater chance of wooing the woman than any of the other betas or the subpar alphas. And so what you're trying to do in your advertising when you're trying to get traffic that you can control is literally become the alpha. Like that's why confidence is important in your advertising. That's why it's important to think about that psychological triggers when you objectively, what is the psychological trigger that I'm going to be using in this advertisement? Am I specifically trying to get reciprocity? Am I specifically trying to use fear? Am I trying to use gain logic? Am I trying, you got to think about what is the psychological trigger that you're working with. And so if you're going to do cold traffic building or pardon me, use cold traffic to get a list going or get a customer base, you've always got to think about the objective and that it's a process that goes from date number one all the way to intercourse.
Yeah, we got so we started at 8 people watching and went all the way up to 12 when you started talking about sex. So
yeah, because that, dude,
was
it's
great.
it's what it is. It's really just a journey, and that's the closest analogy that I have to it,
One thing that triggered in my head was the first step. So it's looking at the body first.
Yeah.
And when you think about the body, is like you got to work on it. You got to work out. You got to eat healthy. And if you want to take that over to a digital marketing business, you got to put in the work. You got to learn the systems. And when you put in the work and you learn the systems and you know how digital marketing works, then you are able to become confident. Your clients will look at you differently just by the way that you speak, but you got to put that work in first.
Well, then when you realize the psychology behind it, all you're doing in advertising is you're pegging the desired end result. Like when you look at a woman or a woman looks at you and sizes you up in 5 seconds, almost without knowing, unconsciously, they're thinking, is this a guy who I would mate with? Like, is this a woman who I would mate with? The desired end result is extremely important in advertising. And when you understand that for your client, you get to the point much quicker. And they almost feel like, wow, he must know what he's talking about because he's very confidently pegging the desired end result. So the desired end result is always the most important thing. Like when you talk about avatars, I hate that because it's like, oh my God, I got to sit here and think about who my avatar is and what their name is and is it sucky salesperson Susie or is it investor Isaac or what, whoever my avatar is. You just got to know what keeps them up at night. What is the thing that they most desire in the world? And I know that sounds really cheesy, but if Andrew, sorry, my daughter just got here. If Andrew has a problem and he's trying to build his business, you probably the thing that's keeping him up at night is the fact that he hasn't gotten laid. That might be the right you might have to target his sexual life before you ever talk to him about the other problem, because the thing that keeps him up at night is the fact that he doesn't have a mate. That might be that. I'm just saying, right? You got to think about your avatar and what is the thing that keeps them up at night, and then use that to then introduce yourself as a very confident person who can help them with not just one thing but another. Because the trick here is every phase of the 12 steps of intimacy is just literally getting them to the next phase, right? And every single phase is a win. What is the win? What is the thing where I look at Andrew and Andrew just solved my sex problem? I know that that's not what you do, bro, but you totally helped me do that.
I'm taking that clip.
I get laid more now because of Andrew than I ever have before. But listen, that is the first win. What is that small victory? And how do you get them to go to the next victory and then the next one? And then I was talking to Jeremy about this. You don't want to sell a humongous package up front. I don't like people who just blindly buy all your services for 20 grand. And you say, oh, I got a 20 grand client a month. That's amazing. Oh, dude, you're screwed. because this person doesn't know a single thing about you. They feel confident that you might do some work. They just spent 20 grand with you, but the real problem is that you've not provided a single win. There's more on the line for you to keep an upfront $20,000 client than it is someone who you just started a relationship with and you got a win here, and then you can upsell them to the next service and then upsell them to the next service, and they see wins every single time. Does that make sense?
It goes back to the value ladder. That's why I love the book .com Secrets, is where I learned the 3 different types of traffic and the value ladder. If you guys haven't got it, I highly suggest getting it by Russell Brunson. But the value ladder, you have your first step. It's that initial offer, getting people in the door, like a crazy bait and irresistible offer. And it provides a quick win for your target audience, whoever acquires that first step offer. And then after they experience your brand and they love it and they see results instantly, they're going to want to pay you for the next offer and the next offer and the next offer. You can't just all shove it in their face at once and then they don't see results right away. They're like you said, I paid $20,000. I want to see instant results for that.
Right. It's funny. It's funny that people are like, oh, don't give people the silver bullet. No, that's exactly what they're looking for. When they have a real problem and a real desire, they're looking for a silver bullet. What is the silver bullet for your avatar? Like, I hate that people are always like, how do I put it? They're like, oh, you seem spammy and you seem like a marketer. It's like, no, this is a real problem. And I'm going to sit here on video and like answer your problem and give you the solution that is going to give you a win right now, right? Mm-hmm. Just click on the video below and sign up today. You know, like you got to pinpoint something. And then once you become their trusted advisor, once you've solved one problem, a small victory, you've given them a small victory, they're going to listen to you for every other victory that you want to provide them. Every single time. So I was telling Jeremy, I go, work upward. Don't start at the very top, because I know people who started agencies who were selling $80, $90, $100,000 programs, some of them for 3 quarters at a time versus just every month. Mm-hmm. And they lost contracts because the quick win wasn't there. And people who spend that kind of money, they're going to want a quick win. I'd rather provide a quick win at $10,000, maybe, like let's say it's a coaching call or a coaching program, and then get them to opt in for my inner circle mastermind at $25,000 a year, or something like that, right? That's why those programs work, because you're providing quick wins all the way up the ladder, like you were mentioning.
Yep. Yeah. And that's why for my agency, I only do, like, I started out doing 1-week trials with Facebook advertisements. And I set up a bait that is super duper enticing, and I know I'll be able to get leads in their door from that bait, i.e. a 1 month free of unlimited yoga. And people really, really want to jump on that. And I actually had my yoga client, the first one that I had, he said, hey, can you stop sending me text message notifications, because he was getting too many leads. So if you have that really enticing bait in place and it's through Facebook advertising, like, you can create super fast results for your clients. And another thing I wanted to say a little bit earlier was I introduced myself as a leads generation agency and not a digital marketing agency. Small business owners or local business owners do not want a digital marketing like a digital marketer. They want leads in their door. That's what they care about, and that's why I introduced myself as a lead generation agency. But I kind of just took that over there. But I thought I could.
No, that's fine. You know, that's one thing you can do, and on top of that, like, this is how you keep clients. Like, when I was in the agency world, and the churn rate for a client was 7 to 8 months, I thought to myself, my goodness, these people are losing like 30% of business every single month. And I'm like, if I could just solve that problem with my work, with my agency, I got it made, right? So now my churn rate is 2.2 years and 7 months. I keep a client for 2 years and 7 months at an average of $2,000 a month.
That's
right?
awesome.
And how do you do that? How do you do that? It is the power of continually communicating. Like, you need to set up the expectation that they're not going to ever feel like, well, what's happening with this guy? I haven't talked to him in a while. Like, how are things going? Yes, I'm getting business, but that's not eventually the reason they like, so the reason they hire you is for leads. The reason they stay with you is because you are unique, because you communicate with them, because you've
Yeah.
become their inner circle buddy, right? You're
Mhm.
the guy that's bringing me leads.
Mhm.
So remember that, guys. Like, the most important thing that you can do to keep a client forever, almost, like in terms of LTV, long-term value, is literally just communicating. And that's what I call, and seriously, I coined the term so no one else can use it, client therapy. Client therapy equals longer periods or longer long-term value
Yeah.
and less churn rate. It equals less churn rate
Yeah.
of your client. So,
So
yeah.
let's go into client therapy. Are you taking them out for dinner? Are you going to like football games with them? Like, what are you really doing to get your customers or your clients?
So I'll keep it real easy. At the very like top end level with some of my bigger clients, I'll actually go see them face to face. And the best time that I like to go see them face to face is when they're really busy. When they're really busy and I know that they're like they're doing stuff, I want them to wish they had me for longer. I want them to I want them to feel like at the end of that conversation, at the end of talking with us, that they left wanting more. And like they can't wait to see me the next time I go visit them.
I like
So
that.
I visit them when they're the most busiest. I visit them when they're like, if they're speakers, I visit them when they're actually on tour, when they're actually speaking.
Hmm.
And on top of that, I would also say that the simplest way at the lowest level for even an average $2,000, $3,000 client is you just have to focus on like touching base with them. Like, even if it's just like, hey, Andrew, I saw that like you really need to bulk up. I mean, let's say that I'm your trainer, and like, you want these muscles, but you want to have them, and I'm going to try to get you there, right? And so what I want to do is just touch base with you and say, hey, man, I think you're doing great. I saw that you lost a couple pounds. I saw that in your check in, you're toning up. That's awesome. Keep up the good work. I'm going to check up with you in about a week's time.
It
That
goes,
just following up.
oh, it goes such a long ways. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And that's why people stick around. Like you will make more money in the long run by keeping your clients than you will by getting new clients in the door,
Hmm. Totally
right?
agree.
So my little girl's coming. Yeah, here, you want to say hi? Say hi.
Hi.
No, it's okay. Go. I'll be up there. I'll be out there in a second. So yeah.
Hey guys, if you're loving this conversation right now and the babies, give us a like, give us a heart.
Go with mama.
And we haven't had
Go.
many questions yet. I would love for Tony to answer some of your questions in regards to outsourcing and white labeling and
Or
growing an
relationships.
agency in relationships with clients or dating relationships. He's got plenty of knowledge on that. Um, but one thing that we were just talking about that I wanted to piggyback off of was recently I had a client that I didn't like we didn't do much this month. Like with this past November, I sent out 2 emails for him and that was it. And he's paying me a good amount of money. And I was like, crap, I didn't do much for him. So I took him out to lunch and just like that that went a long way and like he wasn't
Yep.
mad or anything like that. But I know I'm going to keep him as a client now because like I didn't hide away from him because we didn't do anything. I took him out to lunch and like everything's cool. So
So here's one secret, and I'm gonna say it right now because it looks like everybody left. It looks like people thought that we were done, and so for everyone that's on the call right now, like I want after I tell you this, I want you to like give me some hearts and some likes, okay? Because I'm giving it just to the people who stayed here right now. Like this is the trick. Whether you have a job or whether you have a client, the moment that they realize that you need them more than they need you, you're fired.
yep.
Your goal is to always make it so they need you more than you need them. So even if you have to create your own problems, like for instance, I'm going to give you an example. We had a customer with us, and we're touching base as we normally do, and then we're like, okay, let's do something where we might actually screw things up or something, but then we fix our own problems. And so they love it when you do that. When you're like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that we had a security breach in our firewall, and we just went in there. I think it was down for X amount of time, so we shut down your ads for a little bit until we got that working up again. Like, creating your own problems and solving them to your client is what makes you almost invaluable to them. Like, always even if you have to make it up. I know that sounds really bad, but it's like, come up with the problem that you can solve. Look at their business, look at what's going on, find a way to get whatever it is that you solved into their inbox. Because the moment they realize, remember this, the moment they realize that you need them more than they need you, you're very close to getting fired. So you always want to make sure that they need you more than you need them.
Yep.
So always keep tabs on them, keep talking to them, and I'm not saying like every single day, guys. Like we talk to our clients maybe max 4 times a month. And you can automate a lot of those emails, right? Like, just send them this one. Hey, is there anything we can help you with today on top of getting you more leads, right? That's a simple email. And they'll come back and they'll be like, hey, you know what? I wanted to change this graphic. Pardon me. I wanted to change this graphic on my website. Could you please help me with that? And then you do it, and it's like, I just became invaluable, right? Because you did something. So just keep tabs and make yourself indispensable.
Yeah, and keep them updated on what you're doing. Last night I pulled an all-nighter. I was just like, I drank a Monster too late at night, so I just started working, and I made a couple of welcome sequences in my bot for a couple of my clients, and then I made a little video for them and was like, hey, this is what your bot can do now. Go check it out. And I sent it over to them, and they were like, holy crap, this is sweet.
That's awesome.
So I had free time on my hands. I just did something for my client. They're so appreciative of it. So, and like, when you're actually producing results, they're not going to take advantage of you because they know like you're already kicking ass. So don't feel like you're providing too much value and they're going to ask for more and more. They won't if you're producing results. So.
Yeah. They don't. You don't have to. In fact, all you have to do now, once you've got them for a couple months, is tell them, "Hey, we're starting something brand new that I think your gym could benefit from. Like, we're doing a beta launch of this service for $990, 1,500, whatever it is that you want to charge as a beta, and then just that's the way that you upsell them over time." So let me give you an example. And maybe we can close with this, unless this is going too long. It's up to you. I don't know, but. I closed a client by providing in a forum, because this is where this avatar hangs out. In a forum, I posted something about retargeting and what the importance of retargeting for any small business. It's using a big business tactic at like small business prices, right? And so I literally was like, you need to do this, this, and this, and this is why, and this is how remarketing works, and it's like the best thing since sliced bread. Like, you guys can take that if you want, like, use it. I absolutely implore you to try it because it's absolutely inexpensive. Go get it done. I closed a client. I closed a few with that thread, but one specific client, which is the one that I wanted to highlight, has gone. At that point, we were selling the retargeting campaigns real cheap. I think it was like $3.99, and he's gone on to spend almost over 20 grand with us now on a monthly basis.
Wow.
Like, just through over time providing like small wins that eventually led to just being absolutely the only people to go to for what we do.
Yeah. Jeremy's trying to get that post out of you.
Well, I'll tell you. What do you mean? What post?
The retargeting, I think.
Yeah. So I went to Dentaltown. I went to dentaltown.com. I posted it there under the handle Local Reach Pros, and it was literally just how to stay top of mind. And I did a 5-thread series on walking them step by step on how to do it themselves. I wanted them to feel overwhelmed on how to set up a remarketing campaign through AdWords. through AdWords, so that when they saw that, they're like, oh, I'm not going to do this. Like, I don't have time to do this shit. Right. And one of them turned out to be not even a dentist. They turned out to be someone who dentists are clients for him. So he teaches people dental implantation.
Yeah.
And he has like seminars where he does this kind of stuff.
That's
He called
awesome.
me up and he's like, I want to try this. Like, hey, at $400, it's a no-brainer. Let's do it. And then 2 months later, I closed an $1,800 deal with him on a monthly basis for one of his other sites. And then after that, we closed another deal for $9,000 to do advertising on another. Like, it was like he was trying to find ways to spend his money with me because I had provided a victory every single step of the way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, Jeremy, it's dentaltown.com, I believe, and
Yeah.
it's just for dentists. So
Yeah.
what I think Tony did was he found out where his target audience was, the client that he wanted to target. He found out that it was on a forum called dentaltown.com, and then you just started posting on that forum, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. Because those people are already very skeptical of marketers. So all I did was give free information. This is it's kind of
That's
it kind
huge.
of falls it's
Huge.
kind of falls back to what our strategy, Andrew, where we like really focus on trying to do value posts,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's
Yeah.
what you do. You're like, even if you don't know what to talk about, like go to buzzsumo.com, look
Oh, this is
up, yeah,
gold.
yeah, go to buzzsumo.com, pick a topic for your avatar, look at the one that's been the most shared and copy them
Mhm.
and put it in a forum because there's a big chance that that blogger has not even used it outside of his blog, right? So reframe it, reconfigure it for dentists, and before you know it, they're like, oh my god, you're the expert, you're the subject matter expert, and they're gonna go to you to ask about marketing. It's just a
Yes.
no. It's like it's easy. You're providing value, and some people might hate you because they're like, oh, get out of here, you marketer. But some people are gonna be like, no, he's right because we do this in our practice, we do this in our business, and it works.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what happened, and that's okay. You can be, it's okay to be like hated on and loved on, and because at the same time, like the people who are most interested are going to reach out to you just because you're causing you're causing a rile up around what do you call it, people to get aroused because of your subject.
Yeah. And Jessica, it's called Buzzsumo. So it shows, correct me if I'm wrong, Tony, but it shows the articles online that are shared the most. So if you type in something like Facebook ads strategy or something like that, Facebook ads, something like that, you can find some good Facebook ad strategies on there because there are articles that are shared the most that pop to the top. But
Yeah,
to riff off that a little bit.
that's exactly right. So with BuzzSumo, if I clicked on Facebook advertising or local Facebook ads or local Facebook ad strategy or something like that, whatever it is that you sell for local businesses or even for gyms, what if you did that like specifically Facebook ads for gyms? You might find someone who talked about that specifically, and what BuzzSumo shows you is how many people have linked to that article, how many people have shared it, Pinterest it, Twittered it, like all that stuff, and it'll give you the overall shared count. And so you have a really good piece of content that you can rewrite yourself, maybe
Rewrite
with
it. Yeah.
yeah, even with better detail, maybe some updated snapshots of like the actual interface. And then when you have that, all you have to do is literally go post that to a thread where you know your client is. And a lot of these places allow marketers to be part of the discussion because it's okay. So Dental Town allows you to be a non-dentist, you talking in the marketing forum in the thread. Same goes for any other. I mean, we've done a couple in a different spaces for in the same kind of doctor space, like with doctors with different services. And all the time, dude, they're hungry for knowledge. Like they're always reading to see what other people are doing. And so the
Mhm.
moment that you get hired by one is now like it's perfect because then you can say, oh, we got hired by XYZ. You should have us too, and it's like, oh, they're doing that. We should do it too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. I was gonna say something that was really important, but I forgot it halfway through there.
I'm so sorry, man.
No worries.
My
I had
bad.
to do something with small business owners. We'll just keep going.
Yeah.
But let's go. Like people are loving this BuzzSumo tool. So what other tools or websites or apps that just
I've
drop
used
some right now that really help?
So specifically in my agency, we use things like SEMRush, right, for competitive analysis. Like,
Mhm.
there's nothing more cool than to look at a competitor and then tell their competitor about that competitor, right? So, like, you can use
That
competitive
costs a little
analysis.
bit of money, right? That's not a
It does. It does.
yeah.
You can use like the free
Buzzsumo has
version,
a
but
free version, by the way, but
they both,
SEMrush keep going.
yeah, they both have free, like
Oh, okay.
free. You can use them free for like a certain amount of time a day. But I would still use that. Like, hey, I just did a competitive analysis on this particular dentist, and just have like what I call the oh dude, a tear up session, like where you tear up someone's website that they don't even know that you're doing it, but you post it on that thread of all their peers, and they're gonna be like, wow, great, like great analysis, and like before you know it, you're an expert just because you took a website, and then they start looking at theirs, and they're like, oh shoot, like mine has that too, right? And it's like, hey Tony, can you help me with trying to fix this issue, or like I'm not mobile friendly or that, like
Yeah.
the goal is to just set yourself as a subject matter expert, and the way to do that is by providing value. Like
Hmm.
seriously, like, and you can use SEMrush, you can use Buzzsumo. I've used things like SimilarWeb.com for competitive analysis. Um, yeah. I mean, but the point is just provide good value, and when you do that in a thread and you consistently do it, everyone's going to go to you for the marketing questions.
Hmm.
Everyone.
When you were starting out, did you ever go to a BNI meeting or a meetup, something on meetup.com or anything like that?
Yes, so not BNI. I heard of BNI because a good friend of mine was actually a member of BNI.
Yeah, I love BNI.
You do? Cool. Yeah, I just thought they were all like too old. But in where I went, the BNI that what I went to, it was just like they weren't in the marketing space. But yeah, so I did meetups. In fact, I ran a meetup. So
That
I
helped.
ran a meetup for almost 2 years. We grew to about 3,000 members in that group, and we
Holy
had
crap.
roughly like 60 to 70 people show up every single meetup.
Wow.
And the thing that I learned from there was just that titles are the most important thing that you can come up that you can use in your business with meetups, because people get completely sucked in by titles. Like, what is it
Mm.
that you're going to provide? So the desired end result is always important there, and people come. And the one thing I will mention though is that I would never do a meetup. The one that, looking back, I would always do at least a very small fee for meetups that are like subject based.
Hmm.
So I would highly recommend that you do paid meetups if you're gonna do that. Like, even if it's two, three, four, $5, people will come for a subject, and when they're willing to pay for it, that's the real validation that that title and that topic is
Worth
really
it.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, for BNI, it's freaking awesome. That's where I started out. I did a bunch of different methods, just getting referrals from my internal community, doing cold contacting, just going into the local businesses. But BNI was huge, huge, huge because I joined a chapter. I didn't join the chapter actually. I just went to three BNI meetings. I went to my three free BNI meetings at the beginning, and then it costs like $500 to join the chapter. But I went to those three BNI meetings, and they have like typically 30 people that just they live off referrals. So they refer you to other businesses, everybody in that chapter. Um, and you get to pitch your services for like a minute and a half. So there wasn't another digital marketer in the group. So I said that, and
Nice.
you get their email addresses at the end. I sent them all an email address. I talked to as many people as I could at BNI. And I was able to get three clients just based off going to three meetings. And then I got referrals based off those three clients. It's incredible the power of referrals. It's
Oh
amazing.
yeah, yeah. That's another thing too. Like, referrals are the thing that'll, like, it's almost like the lifeblood at some point. So especially when you're first starting off. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's huge.
Absolutely.
Hey,
Well,
I think I'm gonna have to call it a night myself, unless you got another question.
I'm gonna need this one last answer out of you. Your top three secrets of how you grew your digital marketing agency.
Yeah, okay. So I think when you like actually defined growth, these are the three things I focus on like every day almost. Like you have to just think about this, and I've slacked off on one, but or one or the other and stuff. But these are the three ways to grow your business, and bar none, like if you focus on any one of these, you're gonna do amazing things. Last video chat. Oh, weird. I don't know what that was. Number one, customer acquisition. Everyone thinks that's the most sexy thing. Like everyone is like that's the what is it, the Holy Grail of advertisers or even client getting, right? Customer acquisition is one way to grow your business, but it's not the only one. So the second way to grow your business is by providing increasing the transaction size, right? And I'll tell you why this is important in a second. Increasing your transaction size, so always upselling. Like whenever you go to McDonald's, the burgers are the cheapest, but the drinks is where they really get you. That's where the margins are the highest. And so think about how you can apply a burger and up and biggie size, like sort of scheme in your, not scheme, but like setup or funnel in your business. And then the third one is how do you get retention? How do you get them to come back over and over again to provide more services? When I thought about that, every single day I would focus on, okay, customer acquisition for 1 to 2 hours. What do I do? What can I do? What can I learn? Where can I go to find like an exact strategy for getting a client? If I had to pay $1,000 just to find out Andrew's way to get one client, like that's what I would go. I would literally spend an hour learning about it and then the other hour implementing. And then tomorrow I would do the same thing for 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours. And then for another 1 to 2 hours, I would spend trying to see who in my business already I could upsell to a new service, or just send them an email to ask them, hey, is there anything I can do to help you grow faster? Just a simple email like that. And they're going to get back to you like, oh my God, yes, we were trying to think about doing social media. Do you do that? Do you do brochures? Do you do email marketing? Do you do newsletter, like blah, blah, blah? And before you know it, you're giving them another service. All right. Mm-hmm. And then the third thing is retention based. Is like, how can I continue to develop my arsenal of services that are recurring based? They're using the recurring business model to make sure that I continue to grow over. So 1 and 2 help number 3. Right? Because 3 is just how can I continue to offer more services that are recurring based?
Yep.
1 is to always focus on acquisition. 2 is how to increase the upsell whenever you get a chance to do that. So those are like literally the 3 things I would focus on almost every day. And then the other half of my day, when I first got started, I would then focus on doing work. Right. Mm-hmm. And in some cases, the beauty of it is that over time, after month number 1 or number 2, or maybe even month number 3, like for us with SEO, it was easy. It was like as easy as just going and checking 15 minutes on their campaign every day. And that was it. Like you don't have to do much more than that. You know what I mean? So that I think is the thing that propelled me to create a business that was, 6-7 figures. So it's like you have to follow those principles day in and day out. There's multiple ways to get traffic. Like I'm not going to sit here and tell you like what I don't know how I got a client. The best client I've ever had came from selling a $3.99 product that produced results within a week, and he started seeing himself on ESPN and Inkmat, like all these different websites because of retargeting. And then he wanted to spend more money with me, and ended up spending more than $20,000 over the lifetime so far. Wow. So not $20,000 over lifetime, $20,000 a month since we started, right? So it's like. Always think about those 3 things, and before you know it, you're going to have a thriving business. Like that's the one biggest takeaway. I told my dad this. I tell my cousins this. It's like the single most important thing you need to know as a principal. The 3 things you need to know as principles to continue to strive and continue to grow your business to the next level. I don't have 3, but those are the 3 things in one tidbit.
Love it. Tony, thank you so much for being here. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, man. Sounds good, brother. Thanks a lot for having me.
Thanks, buddy.
Take care, guys. Hey, make sure you put some likes and some hearts, guys.
Yeah, give us love. If you're watching the replay, give us a 1.
Yeah. All right, man. I'll talk to you later, buds.
See you, buddy.
All right.